So this one's a little bit different because I don't need a really long leader for close combat because the rod's only a 7.6.
Bet you got a, what's the line on that one?
So this is a 9-weight line on it.
9 line, yeah.
So I'm gonna cut this off and we'll just build
It's gonna load up
quick. Yep, this thing is a sledgehammer. And I throw really big flies for snook, so you need to be able to have enough energy to turn over a big fly short.
And that's only a
7'6", yep. So this is going to be our butt section. I want it to be a little bit heavier, even though it's a 9-weight line on a 10-weight rod. I want this thing to be, we're going to neck down from 50 to 40, and that 40 is going to be our bite tippet.
That's a 10-weight rod?
This is a 10-weight rod with a 9-weight line, okay? And the reason I do that is it comes down a little bit softer, okay? So I can still load it fine, it's no big deal. I just underline it because I want a softer presentation.
And it loads okay because you have a heavier fly, you think? Or?
It just loads okay because I'm, you know, I don't know, I'm very comfortable with it. Most of these lines are slightly heavier anyways. Today's lines are not like, you know, I don't know, I would say some of them are true to weight, but most of them are a little bit heavier than what they advertise, so they load fine. So I'm going to start with an arm's length of 50 for my butt section. And then we're just going to do 50 to 40.
And that's the shock?
Yeah, this is the Umpqua Deceiver HD in the pink.
So a fly line is what weight?
What do you
What
mean?
got in your mouth, is that an 80 weight?
No, so it's based on the shooting head. So the grain weight of the shooting head delineates the weight of the line that pairs up to the rod. So the shooting head is...
So a 60 weight nylon
All I'm...
leader is 60 pounds. If you put a weight of 60 pounds on it, 61 pounds, it's going to snap.
You can't compare apples to apples like that.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to match up diameters, okay? So ultimately, if you think about a bullwhip transferring the energy from the back to, so we want to make this as close to this as possible in diameter so we have an even transfer of energy. Okay.
Nothing to do with the tensile strength or the...
Not so much, no. More diameters. Okay, so 50 down to 40. Where's my 40? Just had it here. 40. Now I'm going to use half an arm's length of this, and this is our whole leader, right? You know, 6 feet of 50, 3 feet, so 9-foot leader. That's all I'm going to need.
I'm waiting to see what kind of monster you're going to throw on the end of that thing.
I'm going to put on my favorite fly.
Your favorite fly,
You say. And in this handy dandy fly bag / Ziploc bag collection, because that's how I keep all my flies. So they're all individually wrapped, so should I have to give one away to a buddy, and if it gets splashed, like if I have an open fly box like this and we take a wave over the boat, then I gotta take them all out and wash them and dry them all. So for like when I'm fishing off a paddleboard, everything stays in its own Ziploc bag. So this is my Tuscan bunny pattern. This is my favorite snook and baby tarpon fly. I've caught all my big Snook over 35 on this fly. It's just, for me, it's my confidence fly.
What size is it?
What size hook? It's a 3/0. So it is a meat hook.
Is it a pretty light fly?
It's
No eyes.
neutrally buoyant. So it's designed so it suspends. So there's 11 strips of foam on this for this size hook. And once this saturates, I can throw this fly out in front of the fish 6-8 feet, and it's going to stay in the water column, you know, maybe 2 or 3 inches below. It's going to eventually sink, but it's super, super slow. And once you strip it a couple of times, it just kind of comes up and it'll wake right below the surface. So it kind of puts off that little sexy V wake, like when you look watching a bait fish swim around in slicked out water, you get kind of that V. And for a fish with an upward facing morphology like a tarpon or a snook, that they're gonna come out of the water to hit this thing, I mean, that's the whole purpose of keeping it higher in the water column. So what I typically do is this leather on the bottom of the rabbit strip is pretty stiff right now, but before we get to the spot, I will put this in, you know, in the water on the bottom of the boat or hang it over the side until this leather strip gets completely saturated, and it's just kind of like very pliable. And that way when you cast it, yeah, you'll get kind of that splat factor, but usually after a couple of quick false casts, all the water comes out of it, so it doesn't come down that heavy. But once it hits the water, when you start to slide it, it'll swim. The tail will serpentine like that. So there's a lot of movement to this fly, and this big foam head moves a lot of water, and that's what kind of imparts the tail with movement. As the water comes over all these little different cut pieces of foam, the water moves all around it in different directions, and that's what makes it, you know, give it so much lifelike movement.